I have to say, this is Newsmax. Does Newsmax hate Trump too? Because they're stuck on this one picture. Maybe he just hasn't sent them one that he's approved yet. But I gotta say, there's like almost like ghost-like lighting on this. Does it look worse? Did he try to Maybe that's not the same photo. Maybe he tried to recreate the same photo on the cheap. I think that's what happened. Because it looks worse, doesn't it? Is it just me? All right, we'll figure it out. Anyways, this is him calling in.
Mr. Mr. President.
Hello, Bob.
It is an honor and a privilege to have you on my show. Thank you so much for finding
I love your show, and I love your humor. I think you're great. And your
You're so funny. And we're going to find out this isn't really him, isn't it?
politics, too, by the way. But your humor is so great. So
That is the greatest compliment I could ever imagine.
Yes, the guy who likes to sexually assault women and kiss them without consent thinks you're hilarious. I don't know why.
Yesterday,
really good.
thank you, sir. In the Oversight Committee yesterday, Christopher Wray was being grilled by Republicans, and if I may, Matt Gaetz quoted a quote from Hunter Biden to a Chinese official. He said, "I'm sitting here with..."
No, he didn't. He read something from the WhatsApp messages that are allegedly WhatsApp and are not unverified. But please continue. I mean, it said I think it was Reacher who said, "In an investigation, details matter."
My father, I'd like to understand why the commitment has not been fulfilled. I will make certain that between the man sitting next to me and every person who knows my ability to hold a grudge, that you will not regret not following my direction.
Yeah, it sounds like a guy who is on the take and fearful and on the receiving end of a bribe. Doesn't it? Honestly, the WhatsApp messages, the weirdest part about them is it sounds like Hunter Biden is like, he's got whoever it is in a chokehold. Which is not exactly what I think that we were sold on. I don't know. It's odd.
What would happen in the mainstream media if that text was from your son Eric to you while you were the president?
Well, first of all, we wouldn't even know if it even meant what he was saying because there'd be so many spelling errors. Also, does he talk to his son? These are his children, you know.
Well, they would have been arrested immediately. They would have made a deal out of it, the likes of which it should be made a deal out of, by the way, because it's extortion. I mean, They wouldn't do that. But
wait, no. Is Hunter extorting the Chinese, or are the Chinese extorting Hunter? Like, did he just forget who's got pictures of him smoking in a bathtub? Honest question. How do you extort? How do you get extorted by somebody you're extorting? All right.
I mean, honestly, what would have happened to almost anybody else, other than a radical left Democrat or a Biden? This is years and years of putting people in place. That's all it is. But that was extortion.
Wait, his judges have slapped this shit down.
And at a high level, and that's mafia.
The highest level, at a level like nobody's ever a level. These are such levelly things.
Talk.
Yeah.
And just incredible. Well, you had that with the prosecutor, $1 billion for the prosecutor. You have it in many ways. If that would have been said by me or somebody else.
Hey, asshole, it was. Trump is literally guilty of what he accuses Biden of doing. Biden was vice president when he was going to withhold the $1 billion in loan guarantees, by the way, not direct cash. This is not money that was being dropped off. These are just loan guarantees by the U.S. government. To borrow the money from somebody else, we'll back you in case it falls through. But that's it. We're not giving you $1 billion U.S. As a matter of fact, we will back. Ultimately, what was happening was we were going to back IMF loans to the tune of $1 billion. Other people would kick in, but we were going to back $1 billion worth of the $70 billion in loans to help them get over this hump. Apparently, like the IMF was like $50 billion to help Ukraine, but then they were, they couldn't go much further, and so we and our allies all kind of grouped together and said, okay, we'll back $1 billion, you'll back $1 billion, whatever, that kind of thing. But he literally was just doing what the president and the Congress and everybody else wanted him to do. Like they wanted done. That was it. That's why he bragged about it at the CFR. on the Council on Foreign Relations stage when he was talking, whatever. Meanwhile, Trump was literally withholding weapons to Zelensky to get this, this investigation started, not actually done. That's the criminal part. That I like. It's weird that it's almost like, and I've talked about before how he looked at the Obama administration as if Obama was a king and forced through all kinds of stuff, which he absolutely did not. I mean, they consider the ACA something that was forced down people's throats when it was actually voted on and went through committee and there was all kinds of shit. But Trump had this idea that Obama was able to act like a king and just do shit. So when he got into office, he was very shocked to find out he couldn't just by fiat write a bunch of shit and make it magically happen. He was so convinced of his own bullshit story about Obama that he thought he would have those same powers too. And when he didn't, he was all mad about it. Same thing is true of Biden. It seems like he thought that maybe he knew about the $1 billion, stuff about Shokin and all that kind of stuff, and thought that would give him, if the vice president can fuck with somebody like that, I can certainly do it as president. He seemed to be deluded on the idea of what power is, like the mythology about the supreme executive power of the presidency that Republicans have been pushing for years, both for people like George W. Bush to be able to do it and against people like Obama, who they assume is acting that way when they're absolutely fucking not. That myth was like his primary understanding of what presidential power was, and he was shocked when it turned out not to be the case.
It would have been a lot of problems. These people are sick, and they're
the sick people. They don't know. I think they've got the flu. I think they've got something. I got the booster.
I felt really good almost after taking it.
corrupt, and it's a shame.
It's a shame.
We're going to be appointing very pro-crime judges.
It's a shame.
It's also the first time in American history cocaine was found in the White House.
No. Discovered, maybe. Found, no.
For the first time in history. We have a first son who's a known coke addict. I guess the Secret Service is going to have a hearing about it today. Again, you've got a double standard. What do you think about finding cocaine in the White House?
Well, first of all, I have a lot of respect for Secret Service, and I believe they know who it is. And
so they're just lying then? They're just bullshitting everybody? They know who it is, but they're not going to talk about it?
I have a lot of respect for them. They're liars. I respect liars. I'm a liar. Some of my best friends are liars. They often tell me they're my friend, and I know they're lying because, I have their phones tapped.
I think without question. I know that part of the White House very well.
Yes, I used to go through there all the time and sit in a chair with a mirror on the end of my shoes.
And the only one that gets really good access is, like family members and people, cabinet
Yeah, 500 family members. Well, the Bidens are Catholic. There's,
members where they don't go crazy on checking. So it has to be somebody like that. But, I would
It's got to be somebody like that or one of the 50 people they each
say
know.
perhaps, of course, who knows? But I think perhaps it was a Hunter deal. And they left it for him, and he forgot to pick it up, just like he forgot to pick up the computer.
Yes.
Could have picked up his computer. They called him many times, pick up your computer, pick it up, and now they're all suing each other, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The fact is that computer, the laptop from hell.
It's definitely not from Hunter, so.
Yeah.
Please pick it up, and he didn't do it. Well, he didn't pick up the cocaine either, so it could have been that. I think that they know exactly who it was, but it sounds like it was left there for somebody to pick up. And I would.
Yeah, it was a drop. They're using the cubbies at the White House as a drug drop. It's from the street corner to the guest area of the White House campus. It's
I would think it was Hunter, and I think didn't they travel off to they said they weren't there that day, but they were.
Yeah.
And I think they then left right around that time. They left for Camp David. So I would say that this could be a rerun of the laptop from hell. Because he didn't pick that up, wouldn't pick it up, and I think maybe
partly because it wasn't his.
he didn't pick up the cocaine too.
Also because it wasn't his.
And feed a little bit of his father to give him energy. Now, of course, that's just supposition.
Yes, of
Who
course.
would ever think a thing like that could happen?
No, never.
But, I don't think it's very bad supposition, I have to tell you.
Now,
I don't think it's bad supposition. The idea that, in case you don't speak gibberish, Trump is floating the idea that Hunter had cocaine. Somebody dropped it off for Hunter for his own personal use, and he forgot to pick it up from the cubby that was at the exchange or what have you. And he was going to use a little bit of it to wake up his dad. So we're just going to not talk about the boxes of green Sudafed in the drawer right next to you in your selfie?
The hearings were about the weaponization of the federal government, also a massive government censorship machine. I was a victim of it. Conservatives were a victim of it. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Did you have any?
Yeah, I hate it. You know, just being conservative and using the N word, they would kick you off. They would use the excuse that you stoked violence or used racial epithets, but that was just an excuse to shadow ban you.
Idea that it was this extensive, the censorship campaign and the anti-Trump campaign that was going on while you were the president, and also
that's fucking boring. Sorry, I could get through more of this, but gee, that's really the only part where he's talking about anything that we haven't sort of heard before 100 friggin' times.